We are extremely honored to have Ms. Ushoshi Sengupta here with us today. She was crowned the title of I Am She, Miss Universe India, and consequently went on to represent India at the coveted Miss Universe pageant 2010. Apart from modeling, Miss Ushoshi has starred in blockbuster Bollywood films like Houseful 2. She has continued to inspire millions of girls to rise beyond conventions and guided them along the path less followed. Ushoshi, the name, signifies the first ray of sun to reach the earth, and we hope that after today's session, we will certainly be able to shed some light on her life, her pursuits and beliefs, her achievements, and the fabulous work she does till today.
Ma'am, with your
Okay.
permission, with your permission, can we start the discussion for today?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for that amazing introduction. I think I'm more thrilled than you guys to be on this panel today because I have heard so much about NIT Durgapur, and it's just so amazing to be a part of eSummit. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Ma'am, it's all our pleasure to have you for our discussion today. So the first question being directed at you is that being the daughter of an official in the Indian Air Force, discipline must have been something that you might have grown up with. Was it a deterrent or a boon when you treaded into the modeling industry?
Okay, I think you guys like really bowled me over with the first question. See, for me, I have been a rebel. So my parents have had a hard time, with me, especially because I've always been a very troubled child. I was the always the curious one. I was the one who would question so much. If people would tell me you have to wake up at 8 o'clock, I would be like, why do I have to wake up at 8 o'clock? Why can't I wake up at 10? So growing up, I've always had like, see, anything that has a timeline kind of, I have always detested that. But when I started my professional career, I realized that discipline is something that really goes a long way. I feel that being successful or achieving something in life, see, if you work hard and if you put in all your efforts into something, you can achieve something. But to sustain that, you need discipline. To sustain success, that consistency, you can only achieve that with discipline. And I haven't been a lot disciplined in my life, so I've had a lot of failures, but only with discipline I have been able to get back up, manage that, and start all over again. So I think discipline is very, very important. Being a defense kid, yeah, I mean, I have kind of grown up in a regiment. I went to army school. I was studying in Kendra Vidyalaya. So discipline has been a part of our life growing up, but it's fun to be a rebel once in a while.
Sure, ma'am. Moving on to the next question. What are some of the lessons that you learned when you represented India at the Miss Universe pageant? Any extraordinary traits that you noticed in your fellow competitors, and any popular or particular culture that you were really impressed with?
Oh, wow. Wow, that's, I mean, when I was in Miss Universe, I realized that this was the first, see, I was 21 when I won Miss India, okay? And the first place I was going ever outside India was Vegas, where Miss Universe pageant was happening. And the day I landed, I realized that there is so many beautiful women all across the world. You have people who are 6 feet, people who are 5 feet 2 inch, you have black skin, you have white skin, you have green eyes, you have brown eyes, you have blonde hair, you have black hair. And how do you define beautiful? Because as they say, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. So for me, and that was the first time I was exposed to so many culture. And I was like, wow, we actually live in our bubble. Until and unless we travel and see the world, we can't understand there is so much this world can offer us. And my perception or my idea of beauty changed that day. And of course, I made some amazing friends. And I think the best thing that Miss Universe gave me is that I literally have a friend in every country. So if I want to go to Jamaica, I can just call Miss Jamaica and I'll be like, hey, what's up? I'm in your country. Let's hang out. So I think that was one of the biggest achievement for me to have a friend in every country. And um, this, if you ask me which culture, I think there's so many beautiful culture which I came across, but people were very excited to understand Indian culture there, though. I remember in one of the events, I wore a bindi and I went to attend this event. And I think Miss Austria, she walks up to me and she's like, "Oh my God, Miss India, is that a third eye?" And I was like, "No, but I can explain you what that is." So I think that's how you exchange your history, you exchange your culture, you exchange your stories, and then you get to know so much more. And I have made some amazing friends, I think, and because of social media, we all are in touch, and it's been a wonderful experience.
Thank you so much for that answer, ma'am. That answer certainly did provide a lot of insight regarding the diversity which exists at Miss Universe. So the next question that we have for you is that how does networking function in the modeling industry? Has networking with individuals in the industry helped you boost your career trajectory? And are there any drawbacks of networking beyond a limit? And did you face any problematic circumstances because of that?
Wow. See, I think networking is something which helps anybody in every industry. Um, every industry, every brand, every business, they need public relation. They need, see, every business at the end of the day is about reaching people. Art is about reaching people. Commerce is about reaching people. So I think if what you're doing and what you have to offer to the world, if it doesn't reach people, then it's not worth it. You can be the best artist, but if your art is just in your home, or you could be the best businessman, but you're only selling in your locality, then how do you define the reach or the purpose that your or the values that your work holds? So I think network is working is something which is beneficial or important for every industry. But having said that, interpersonal intelligence is a skill. Not everyone has it. So there are people who are not people smart. So what do they do? And I think in that kind of a situation, we really need to know that what is our strength. I'm sure you guys know about Dr. Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory, in which he said that each one of us have different kinds of intelligence. So it's up to us to know what is our strength, whether language is my strength, whether music is my strength, whether meeting new people or interpersonal skill is my strength, or I'm somebody who can really work better if I'm working alone. So it is very important to know thyself. If you know what you bring on table, you're not afraid to eat alone. So knowing yourself is very important. And if interpersonal skill is not your strength, then work on what is your strength, is what I feel. I think that's it. At least that's how I have lived my professional career. And for me, I have always been a people's person. As a kid, I remember, it's a very funny story. So I have a small black mole under my feet. Okay. So growing up, I used to ask my grandfather that, Dadaji, why do I have this mole on my feet? And he would be like, because tere pav kahin nahi tikne wale, you're going to travel around the world. And eventually, so my nickname is Titli. I don't know why my parents will do that to me. But so eventually, I would keep traveling. I would keep meeting new people. And being a defense kid also, going to a new place, meeting new people, making new friends wasn't difficult for me because I was doing that all my life. As a defense kid, you're moving cities, you're going to a different state. So I've always enjoyed that. And for somebody like me who's the people's person, there's nothing called over networking because I really enjoy it. Now, if you don't enjoy it, then it might be stressful for you. So you have to find out ways on what works for you. And if I've had any bad instance, I don't really know because I have always met amazing people, and I think every person I've met in a state or a country or from different culture, I've always learned so much from them. There's so much cultural, historical, food, musical exchange that can happen, and I feel the world is such a beautiful and vast place, and we are like so many of us. Imagine if we know each other's story, is going to be so exciting.
Yes, ma'am. Of course. Thank you for such a beautiful and insightful answer. Moving on to the next question. there always comes a point in your life when you see your dream shattering into pieces just in front of you. So you must have faced that in your journey, probably. And so, at what point did you face it, and what did you do to like collect yourself and move forward?
Oh wow. I mean, this story is so personal to me, and I'm so glad that you guys have, asked me this question, because in our life we are so conditioned to celebrate only success that we kind of forget that failures is a part of our life, and failures are the time when friends and family should celebrate it more, so that it motivates you to get up and try one more time. So there's a little story I would like to share here. I remember I was going for Miss India in 2010, and in 2018 I won this pageant called Tilottama, which is like a local pageant in West Bengal, and it's supported by the Telegraph. And I was the first runner up in that pageant. But eventually, in my head, I was always preparing for Miss India. I was like, okay, I know I'm going to be Miss India, so let me just prepare for it. So the day of the auditions, I remember Mark Robinson was in Calcutta, because Femina Miss India auditions were happening before. And I had like prepared myself. I'd completely like, in my head, I was like, tomorrow's the day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go give my audition. And it's going to be so amazing. And I'm going to win it. And with a lot of enthusiasm, I put my clothes the night before. I put my shoes together, polished my shoes, put my jewelries. I was like, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to wear and I'm going to look my best and I'm going to go for my audition. And I wake up and I had measles all over my face, my hand, and I had fever. And I woke up and I went to my mother. I was like, Mom, just see, I'm getting some allergy. And she looks at me, she says, you're not getting any allergy, you have measles, which means now I can't go for the audition. And I sat down and I was like, Usho, you gotta give your best. You gotta be there and you have to audition. After that, if they don't take you, they don't take you. At least you have tried. So I called up my, I was speaking to my dad. I was like, what do I do? And my dad is like, it's your battle. You got to win it. If you want to win it, you have to try. So I called up my local doctor, my general physician, our family physician. And I told him, see, I have to go and I have to audition for Miss India. And this is my dream and all. And you have to come with me. So he agreed. And I took him with me to ITC and I auditioned with measles, and all the other contestants were put into a different room and they took my audition. The Femina crew was very kind to do that. I didn't make it to the final list, but Times of India, I think, did an article about my spirit, like my spirit of the pageant. And there's a portal called Mississology, which is like the Facebook of pageant lovers, where pageant lovers from all across the world, they write about their favorite contestants and favorite country, and people talk about, and a lot of these channels also follow those pageant those that website. So somebody had posted that article about my spirit of the pageant on Mississology, and that's where Sushmita Sen's team spotted me. And 2010 was the first year when the Femina Miss India pageant got divided into two. And the winner of Femina Miss India started representing India at Miss World. And the winner of I Am She, which is now I Am Diva, started representing India at Miss Universe. And this was the very first time that the pageant was getting separated. And Sushmita Sen got the franchisee to, select the contestant and select the winner for Miss Universe India. And her team read that article on Mississology and they called me saying that, would you like to audition for Miss Universe India? And I was like, of course. So yeah, I think failures is something which is so important, because I think that's God's way of testing you whether you are true and honest to your dreams or not. Because if you get anything easily, it's that that spark, that passion, that adrenaline rush of winning something which you've always dreamt and desire, that doesn't happen. So failures are very important.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that answer. That story honestly showed us your determined spirit and your strength to give your best even in dire circumstances. The next question that we have for you is that elaborate on that moment in your life when you realize that your dream is not just yours, it impacts and inspires a larger crowd of people. So, would you address this as an opportunity or an added responsibility?
Wow, you guys are so intelligent, man. How have you guys come up with all these questions? I've done so many interviews. Nobody asks me all of this, yeah? Amazing. Um, so I'll tell you, okay, this is another story. I was after I won Miss India, I was traveling to Hyderabad once for one of the event, and I get a call from the hotel lobby saying that this little girl has come to meet you. And I was like, okay, who is she? So it's like some girl called Shweta. She's come to meet you with her father. So I said, why has she come to meet me? Is there anything important? And they're like, no, they have been waiting since morning and they really want to meet you once and she wants to talk to you. So I was like, why will a girl come with her father and all? And then I asked the lobby and I asked the front office executive to ask them why have they come. And then she said that she wants to just meet you and talk to you once. I said, okay, please send them up to my room. So Shweta, I'm still in touch with her. So Shweta comes with her father, and I remember opening the door and I saw her, and like she came and she hugged me, and I think she was shivering. She was so happy and excited, and just to see her like that, I was so excited that I started shivering. I was like, I don't know what I have done to deserve this love. And then she gave me a letter and she gave me some chocolates and all, and I saw her father. I saw her father and I realized that, her father, just so that she is not let down, he has come with her from such a long distance without even any assurance. They don't even know whether I am in the hotel or I will meet them or what would it be. And, that kind of love, that kind of, when you get so much blessings, then fame becomes secondary. That blessings of seeing a father, the way he blessed me saying that I hope you grow a lot in life so that my daughter can also grow more. I think that's when I realized that with the kind of success I had a lot of responsibility. And sometimes it gets a little heavy, because I've realized uh, a lot of time when you fail and when you are not doing well, whether it's about your mental health or it's about your professional life or even with your personal life, you can't show so much because so many girls are looking up to you and they don't, you don't want anybody to feel that okay, maybe she's going through something. And I think at those moments I realized that for me it was more about showing them that I have failed and this is how I'm rising. And I think I continue to do that. I meet it's incredible that something that I did 10 years back and even today you guys have got me on this platform, and the kind of love I get, I think it's incredible. So I think I want to continue to do work which inspires people. And I think that makes my dad proud. So I think that's why I do what I do.
Thank you so much, That was such a lovely and inspiring story. So, the next question, we want to know about your perspective on conventional beauty standards. What obstacles did you face in this regard, and what motivated you to move forward, putting on a brave front? Yes.
See, from the time I started modeling, or even when I won Miss India, I was always termed as the unconventional beauty. So I realized that I was unconventional. That made me unique. So for me, anything conventional is regular. And if you have a chance to be unconventional, you should always try to be unconventional. I think that's what sets you apart from the crowd. And as I told you, my perception of beauty is so different because I have met women, beautiful women from all across the universe. And every country sends their best to Miss Universe. So when I met these women, I was like, wow, and our perception of beauty is so limited because we haven't seen that. I had the opportunity to see that. So that's why I know that what is conventional for you might be unconventional for Africa. What is conventional for Africa might be unconventional for America. What is conventional for America might be unconventional for China. So beauty is this so much beauty, and to put that in a box of convention and unconvention is absolutely ridiculous. So I think how I got through it is because how I overcome that is see, I have always in my head, no, I always think that I'm amazing. And sometimes my parents and my sister, specifically my sister, she has to bring me down to earth saying that, where's your humble pill? But I think it's, your confidence is what sets you apart. How you project yourself matters, because if you believe you're the best, people will believe that. So it doesn't matter whether you have curly hair, dark skin, or if you come from a place which is not come from the best privileged place. If you want to be Miss India and you can be Miss India and you win that dream, people will believe it. So I think I have led my life like that. I've always believed that I can do it, and I've always had a lot of patience and perseverance. For me to win Miss India was not a one-time win. I had failed a lot many times. I told you how I missed Femina Miss India and how I missed, two local beauty pageants also before that. I was always like the first runner-up, a second runner-up. I was never the winner. And I think the only time I won was when I won Miss India. So, and I kept going at it. So that's very important. How you perceive yourself, how you look at yourself is important. I have never looked myself as a unconventional person. I think I'm a very conventional Indian beauty. What defines Indian beauty, because I come from West Bengal. I look like any Indian would. So it's amazing when a lot of Indians come and tell me, "Oh, you don't look very conventional Indian." I was like, "Acha, how does a conventional Indian beauty looks?"
Thank you so much for that answer, ma'am. That answer did certainly provide us a lot of insight about the lessons that you've learned over the years, and certainly some lessons which we could incorporate into our own lives. So now, ma'am, we would like certain individuals from the audience to ask you questions. Those were the questions from our end. So now I'd like to call Shelly Sen from Adamus University, if she is here. Shelly, you may unmute yourself and ask your question to Shoshi now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. I'm Shelly from Adamus University. Hi, ma'am.
Yes,
How are you, ma'am?
I'm good. Thank you so much. How are you doing?
Ma'am, fine, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, one thing I have always faced that being a dark color skin, you always get rejected, and people motivate you down. So in that thing, what do you like to say? Like in the profession world also, like you also get rejected as you do. So how you can overcome with that thing?
That's a very valid question. I think we have come, our society is conditioned to believe that dark has never been the conventional beauty. But as I was just answering the previous question, that it is up to you how you define convention. Secondly, I think if you look at even 20, 30 years back, there weren't a lot of role models who were dark. And I don't think that we have kind of celebrated that. But I think Indian skin is brown. We are dark, and I think we are right now in a time that we are celebrating that. If you look at in international pageants, whether it's Miss Universe or Miss World or even Miss Grand International, all of them are dark skinned girls. Our Miss Indias this year, all of them are brown. And you look at, like for me, my role models, whether it's Priyanka Chopra, whether it's Michelle Obama, whether it's, Sushmita Sen, Noinika Chatterjee, all of them have been such dark, beauties. And I think I kind of derived my confidence from them. So it is very important that you choose your role models wisely in life, and then you follow the kind of spirit and confidence they show. And I personally believe if you have a great role model and if you can follow their path, the confidence comes from within. See, all my life I've grown up loving Sushmita Sen. So for me, there was a point when people would come and tell me that I talk like her, because I would watch her videos so many times that I would eventually started to talk like her. So I have never, honestly, Shelly, growing up, I have faced a lot of rejections. People have come and told me that, you are dark. And, when I won Miss India also, there was a lot of flake I got on internet for being dark. But I have never, taken that into my stride or like concentrated on them, because if two people told me I was dark, there were 10 who told me that I was beautiful. And I only focused on those 10. So it is very important in life to choose your role models, choose your friends, choose your circle who are motivating you, who are pushing you and who are making you understand that all your characteristics is you. And you have to work on that. You have to create that circle around you. And as I said, find role models. There are black women ruling the country now. And look at Priyanka Chopra, I think she's set a standard for all Indian girls across the world. And what she's doing is so amazing. So all the best, Shelly. And I hope you find a way through this.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your answer.
Thank you, ma'am, for the answer. Thank you, Shelly, for that wonderful question. Next, we have Rajat Rathor. Rajat, you may please unmute yourself to ask your question to Shoshi, ma'am. Rajat, are you here? Okay, I guess he's having certain technical difficulties in asking the question. So I'll ask the question on his behalf. So Rajat asks, is that what is the first step that we should take towards being financially independent?
Wow. I think, I started working when I was 18. And by the time I was 21, I already won Miss India and I was doing a lot of work. So at that point of time, honestly, I didn't understand how to handle my finances. But thanks to my father, who's a banker, who kind of sat me down and he told me, you have to manage your funds like this, and this is what you have to do. So I honestly feel the earlier in life you have a financial goal, the better it is for you. And how I define it is, the things that I want to own, whether it's a house, a car, whatever my goals are whatever my financial goals are, I kind of uh, have a number to that, and I break it down with, in years and in time space that I want to do, and how hard I have to work to achieve that, and how much I'm saving also through that is necessary.
So, ma'am, that was the last question for the day.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us for this discussion. We had a great time. The pleasure was all ours. Thank you so much for giving an insight about your life, about the difficulties that you've gone through, about the lessons that you've learned over the years. And honestly, it did provide us with a sort of an incentive to work better on ourselves in order to become better people in society. So thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us here. Yeah, that would be the end of the discussion. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, can you please request for a screenshot the
Yes,
EDC
yes.
members?
Yeah, we just like to take a photo.
I guess we are done. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today.
Thank
It
you.
was a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you for having me, guys. And a huge shout out to all of you guys who have put this amazing platform together. I saw the lineup of, the speakers, and it was fantastic. I think you guys have put up an amazing lineup of speakers. And there's only one thing that I would like to conclude the entire session with, that if you ask me, in my entire journey, which has been my favorite or my most cherished part, it has definitely been my time in college. I think when I was in St. Xavier's, I think that shaped a lot of my belief, that shaped a lot of my confidence, and it made me who I am. So just enjoy these moments you have with your friends and your college, your teachers, because this is the time. Whatever you learn from here, you're going to carry that in your heart and with you for the rest of your journey. So all the best, and thank you so much for having me. And big kisses to all of you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So we end.
Thank you.
So we end the session here today. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.